The last call.
The final bell rang through the empty halls of Hawthorne Elementary School, echoing like a farewell that had no intention of being answered. Melissa Carter stood alone in the teacher's lounge, staring out at the cracked pavement of the deserted schoolyard. The children were gone. The faculty had left. Summer had begun. But the phone rang. A dull, analog ring from the ancient rotary phone mounted on the lounge wall. Melissa turned her head slowly. No one used that phone anymore. Not since the school had upgraded to a new system. She hesitated, her hand hovering just above the receiver. It rang again. She picked up. A faint, static-laced voice whispered, "Mrs. Carter, you forgot about me." Her blood froze. The voice was thin, childlike, familiar in a way that made her stomach turn. "Who is this?" she asked, her tone steady, almost clinical. The line clicked, then silence. Melissa tried to forget it. One prank call. Probably a student with too much time and an internet tutorial on spoofing caller IDs. But over the next few days, the calls returned. Always to the old phone. Always the same voice. "Mrs. Carter, why did you leave me?" The worst part was, she recognized the voice. It sounded exactly like Daniel Whitmore, a boy from her 4th grade class, 6 years ago. The one who went missing on a field trip and was never found. A local tragedy. Posters, vigils, a police investigation that yielded nothing but rumors. Melissa had tried to move on. She had changed schools, changed her routine, even seen a therapist. But Daniel's face, pale, quiet, distant, never quite left her. And now he was calling. She tried tracing the call, but the tech staff said the phone line wasn't even connected anymore. When she dialed out from it, the line was dead. But still, every evening after sunset, it rang once, then twice, then 3 times. She stopped answering, but the calls persisted. Then came the night she received the voicemail. The school's digital system shouldn't have recorded anything from that old line. But there it was. One new message. She clicked to play it. There was silence at first. Then breathing. Then, unmistakably, "I remember the tree, Mrs. Carter." Melissa couldn't sleep. Her dreams were filled with shadows of children playing in dead leaves and the sound of distant bells. She began returning to the school after hours, checking the grounds, walking the halls with a flashlight. She started keeping a journal, documenting every call, every dream, every strange occurrence. One night she found the janitor, Earl, in the basement, sitting motionless with the lights off. "You hear them too?" he asked without looking at her. "What?" she whispered. "The voices, the kids, they never left." He said it like it was a known fact, not a confession. Melissa backed away. But Earl continued. "There were more," he said, "before Daniel. They don't talk about them. Kids that went missing. They say this land wasn't always a school. Something about a poorhouse. Orphanage, maybe. You feel it, don't you? The cold in the hallway near the nurse's office?" She did. She had for years. She went to the town archives the next day. She sifted through old newspaper clippings, municipal records. And there it was. In 1903, the land had indeed housed a children's asylum that burned down under suspicious circumstances. 13 children had died in the fire. None of the bodies were recovered. The site remained abandoned until 1958 when the school was built. 13 children. Plus Daniel. 14. That night, the phone rang again. 14, Mrs. Carter. You're the last. The last week of school approached. The anniversary of Daniel's disappearance. The town still held a small, last bell ceremony every year, mostly out of habit. Melissa was scheduled to speak. She wrote her speech. She practiced it. But she also prepared for something else. She bought a second-hand camcorder, installed motion sensors in her classroom, placed small digital recorders in the hallways. If this was all in her head, she had to know. If it wasn't, she needed proof. The night before the ceremony, her apartment phone rang. She hadn't given her number to anyone recently. She answered. "Mrs. Carter," the voice said, clearer this time. "It's under the tree." Her heart dropped. There was only one tree he could mean. The gnarled, black-limbed oak at the back of the schoolyard, just beyond the fence. It had been part of the nature walk during the fateful field trip. Melissa drove to the school in the middle of the night, flashlight in hand. The tree loomed under a bruised sky, leaves twitching like nervous fingers. At the base of the tree, she saw it. A small, worn sneaker, half buried in dirt. And beside it, a child's drawing, half faded by rain, pinned under a stone. It showed a classroom, a woman with long brown hair at the front, and a boy sitting alone in the corner. A red X was marked over him. Melissa fell to her knees. She dug with her bare hands. In the soft earth, she found more drawings, all of them of her, all of them with red X's. Some featured other children, faces she recognized from her earlier years teaching, students who had left, moved away. Or had they? One name chilled her, Emily Porter, a kindergartner who had moved away suddenly, her parents unreachable. She had never questioned it, but now. The next morning, Melissa didn't show up to the ceremony. Her apartment was empty. The police found her car parked behind the school. The drawing, the shoe, and the stone had vanished. No prints, no signs of disturbance. Nothing. But that wasn't all. The security camera in the hallway near her classroom had recorded movement at 3:13 a.m. A flicker, then static, then a frame. Melissa, standing in front of the classroom door, and behind her, rows of shadowy figures, child-sized, unmoving, watching. One officer fainted watching the footage. The video was never released to the public, but later that night, after the event had ended and the school was quiet again, the phone rang. The janitor answered it. A boy's voice whispered, "She's with us, now." Then the line went dead. The phone never rang again. To this day, the old rotary phone still hangs on the wall in the teacher's lounge, covered in dust, disconnected. But every so often, new teachers say they hear it ringing when they walk the halls alone. They never answer. No one wants to be number 15.
The house beyond the tracks.
It began with a photograph. A single shot taken on an overcast afternoon, showing nothing but a stretch of abandoned railway and a sliver of forest on the horizon. Most people wouldn't have noticed it, but Ryan Ellis did. He was a freelance photographer in his early 30s, living alone in the attic apartment of a sagging Victorian duplex in Iron Hollow, New York, a forgotten town filled with rusted water towers and collapsed smokestacks. Ryan had an eye for ruins, cracked windows, rotting wallpaper, graffiti on forgotten walls. That was his art, and his obsession. That day, reviewing footage from a drone shoot, he spotted something strange in one frame. Tucked between the trees, far beyond the rusted railway, was a house. It hadn't been there in previous photos. It was large, almost too large for the space it occupied. Faded white, Victorian. It leaned slightly, as though recoiling from the world. Ryan was intrigued. Locals didn't know much about it. "There's nothing out past the tracks," they said. just swamp and woods. Some old-timers muttered about land that shouldn't be built on. Something about a sinkhole, or maybe a mine shaft collapse. No one remembered a house. Ryan packed his camera, a flashlight, and a thermos of coffee, and set out. He crossed the abandoned tracks just before dusk. The air changed immediately. The wind died. The sounds of the town, distant cars, dogs, even birds, faded behind him. The trees grew tighter. The shadows lengthened. And then, there it was. The house. A sagging, 3-story Victorian with a wraparound porch, every window shuttered or broken. The front door was slightly ajar, creaking softly in the still air. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. He lifted his camera. Click. The photo showed nothing but the porch. Click. Another angle. The front door now looked slightly more open. Click. The curtains in an upstairs window had parted. He looked up. Nothing. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and mildew. Wallpaper peeled like dead skin. The smell was wrong. Not just rot, but something metallic and faintly sweet. A staircase rose to the left. Banisters cracked. Hallways stretched out in both directions. His flashlight caught glimpses. Portraits on the walls. Their faces scratched out. A child's tricycle, missing one wheel. A piano with broken keys. Click. He took a photo of the hallway. In the photo, he saw a figure at the end. Pale. Watching. He snapped another photo. Empty. His hands trembled. He whispered into the silence. "Hello?" No reply. He turned left. Room after room, each more decayed than the last. One was a dining hall with a table set for dinner. Dust-covered plates, silverware in perfect arrangement. Food long gone. But one plate, just one, had a fresh apple. He did not touch it. As darkness settled, he considered leaving. But the camera compelled him. The house compelled him. Every room he entered seemed to invite a photo. Yet each image showed something wrong. Doors were in different places. Furniture shifted. And sometimes, faces appeared in the background, so vague, distorted, watching. He found a study. Books covered the floor, torn and damp. One lay open on the desk. He recognized the script. His name. Ryan Ellis. Page after page, handwritten, told his life story. Exact. Intimate. Even things he had never spoken aloud. The last page was dated tomorrow. It said, Ryan descends to the basement, camera in hand. He doesn't leave. A thud came from below. He tried to run. The front door was gone. In its place, a hallway that hadn't been there before. The house had changed. The layout shifted behind him. He moved in circles, every room subtly altered, as if the house was learning, or remembering. He ended up at the top of the stairs to the basement. They yawned downward like a mouth. His phone had no signal. His flashlight flickered. Click. A photo of the basement stairwell. There were footprints. Small. Wet. He went down. The basement was massive, wrongly massive. It stretched far beyond the house's footprint. Masonry gave way to bare earth, root-choked tunnels, whispers, cold. He found a chamber. In the center, an old camera, antique, on a tripod. Behind it, a wall of photographs pinned with rusted nails, hundreds of them. Each one showed the house. Some were decades old, others recent. But in every photo, a figure, sometimes blurred, sometimes clear. It was him. Always him. His camera slipped from his fingers. A new photo slid out of the antique camera. It showed Ryan standing in the basement. Behind him, a shadow. He turned slowly. There was something there. Not quite a person. Tall. Bent. Wrong. Made of shadow and static and memory. It didn't move toward him. It simply waited. The last thing he felt was the shutter of the antique camera snapping again. Ryan's belongings were found days later at the edge of the woods. His camera was empty. No photos. Locals say no one's seen the house since. But every now and then, hikers swear they hear the click of a camera shutter. And once in a while, someone finds a photo pinned to a tree. A decaying house. And a man standing in the doorway, staring out. His face scratched away.
The 8th floor.
Adam Ross wasn't the type to scare easily. 34, former Marine, now an IT contractor. Practical, grounded. He had just moved into the newly constructed high-rise on Halstead Avenue, a sleek steel and glass building with modern amenities, keyless entry, and a 24-hour concierge. 7 floors, total. At least, that's what they said. He lived on the 7th, Unit 7, 04, corner view, quiet. Or so he'd thought. The first odd thing happened during his second week. It was 3:13 a.m. Adam woke to the sound of footsteps, light, deliberate, pacing the hallway outside his apartment. He waited for them to stop. They didn't. He got up, opened the door. Empty. But the elevator at the end of the corridor dinged. He watched the display flicker. It went down to the lobby, then up. 1, 2, all the way to 8. Adam blinked. There were only 7 floors. The building directory confirmed it. He'd memorized it. There was no 8th floor. He stepped back into his apartment, double-checked the fire escape map. 7 floors. He didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, he asked the front desk attendant, a kid named Marcus. "Hey, quick question," Adam said casually. "Why does the elevator sometimes stop on 8? Marcus furrowed his brow. 8? Nah, man. There's no 8th. Must be a display glitch. But Marcus looked uncomfortable. Too quick to answer, like he'd rehearsed it. Adam let it go, for the moment. That night, he installed a small motion-triggered camera inside the elevator. It was a simple setup, a tiny lens tucked above the control panel. He didn't expect anything. But in the morning, he checked the footage. At 3:13 a.m., the elevator doors opened. There was no one inside, no one outside. The camera shook, like something brushed against it. And then, static. For exactly 17 seconds. When the feed returned, the elevator was empty again, but the floor display read 8. Adam froze the frame, enhanced it. There was something on the wall behind the elevator. Faint, but visible. A shape. Like a person. Distorted. Upside down. He brought the footage to the building manager. Ms. Chen, efficient and polite, barely glanced at the USB. "There is no 8th floor," she said flatly. "I have it on video." "You must be mistaken. Can I access the maintenance floor plans?" "No." Her eyes were too still, too calm. Adam left the office more disturbed than when he'd arrived. That night, the elevator didn't stop at 8. But Adam's thermostat turned itself to 43 degrees Fahrenheit, and his hallway light kept flickering. He decided to go floor by floor. He rode the elevator alone, late at night, pushed each button, basement to 7. When he pressed 8, the button didn't light up, but the elevator moved, upper, past 7. He held his breath. The doors opened. Concrete walls. No numbers. A long hallway dimly lit with flickering fluorescent bulbs. Industrial. Cold. No sound. No voices. No doors. Until he walked forward. Then doors appeared. Apartment style. But all slightly off. Some too narrow. Some too tall. None had numbers. At the far end of the hall was a mirror. It showed Adam, but not exactly. His reflection blinked when he didn't, smiled when he didn't. He backed away. The lights snapped off one by one behind him. He ran. The elevator was gone. He wandered the hallway until he found a stairwell. He ran down, panting. 5 flights, 6, 7. He emerged into the lobby. Morning. Marcus stared as he entered. "Dude, where did you come from?" Adam didn't answer. He went to his unit, locked the door, and stayed inside the rest of the day. That evening, he heard knocking. From above. Slow. Measured. He climbed the stairs. No 8th floor. But there was a landing. A blank wall where the next floor should have been. And in the middle, a door. Not built in. Just standing there. Wooden. Old. With a brass handle. He opened it. Inside, a single room, lit by a bare bulb. In the center, a chair. And on the chair, a VHS tape labeled "Play Me." Adam took it. He didn't own a VCR. He borrowed one from a thrift store downtown. Plugged it in. The tape showed surveillance footage. Dozens of clips, all grainy. All from inside the building. The same time. 3:13 a.m., different people. All residents. All standing in front of the elevator. All disappearing as the doors opened. None of them returned. The final clip was of him, taken the night before. But it didn't end with him running. It ended with him stepping into the mirror. Adam doesn't remember sleeping, but he woke in his bed, clothes damp, hands sore. His hallway was silent, but the thermostat was at 43 degrees Fahrenheit again. And on the floor, muddy footprints, bare, child-sized, leading to the closet. The door was open. Inside, nothing, except a scrap of paper. It read, "Welcome to the 8th floor." Adam tried to break his lease. The leasing company had no record of him. His name wasn't on the building roster. His bank account was closed. His driver's license was blank. No number. Just his photo. He was vanishing. 1 pixel at a time. No one knows what happened to Adam Ross. But Unit 704 is still empty. And sometimes, when the building is quiet, the elevator dings softly, and the display reads 8. Then the doors open, waiting.